Okay, Mark, while I read the disclaimers, you can promote Eileen and John so we can get started. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's February 12th, 2022 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the Great Barrington Select Board, and also Select Board and Housing Authority special meeting and Finance Committee and Select Board special meeting, will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and our parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. So we know the meeting is being recorded by CTSB, by the town of Great Barrington, by the Berkshire Edge and Berkshire Eagle, as well as members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So let's start with a roll call for Select Board. Eric Gabriel.
Aye.
Ed Abrams.
Aye. Aye.
Steve Bannon here. John, do you want to take a roll of the two of you, please? Just unmute yourself, John.
To find the right button. I am John Grogan. I'm here. And Eileen Mooney, are you here? Unmute yourself. Show yourself. There she is.
Okay. I don't
Great.
know.
That's
Well,
Eileen.
I'm
Thanks.
actually on camera. I can see me. I don't know why you can't.
We can't, but that's okay, as we can hear you, and that's okay.
All right.
Okay, so the first, we have three candidates for the Great Barrington Housing Authority for 3 spots. So let's start with a motion for 2 candidates to the Housing Authority, and then we'll go with 1 for the governor's appointment. So Ed, go ahead. You're muted, Ed.
You don't read lips?
Yeah, you said whoops. I saw that.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Cherry Steiner and Philip Orenstein to the local positions.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Could I ask the question?
Of course.
I thought Sherry was applying for the governor's appointment.
Read this again.
The letter I have, she's just asking if there's a difference.
Yeah. If there are none that I would be interested in being considered for the state appointed. She says, I'm wondering what the difference is. Well, so I don't know if anybody answered her, and I don't know if Sherry's on the call. But I think
We did answer her.
What's that?
We did answer her. Both
Okay.
Mark and I answered her.
Good, excellent. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? So we'll
Just what before, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Were there only 3 applicants total, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so go do your thing.
So it's a roll call. First, I'll do the select board, then John, you can do the 2 of you, the housing authority. So roll call vote, Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And I. Go ahead, John.
Eileen,
Aye.
and I vote yes too. So you've got a quorum now. That's nice.
Okay, now let's go with the next motion, Ed.
Yeah, a motion to appoint or to recommend Tom Blauvelt to the governor for appointment to the Housing Authority.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
Okay, any discussion? Eileen, you're muted. Hearing no discussion? Hearing none, we'll start with a roll call of the select board. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. Go ahead, John.
Eileen?
Aye.
And I. So, yeah.
And so that becomes unanimous. So we have 3 members, 2 appointed and 1 recommended.
Now,
Is there
can
any-
Tom can start coming to meetings immediately?
They're public meetings. He can come to meetings. He can't vote.
He can't vote.
He
Okay,
can't vote. And it's your choice whether you want to recognize him to speak or not. He's not a member of your board.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Any citizens speak before we adjourn this meeting?
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and I think you did yeoman work on this, and we all were taken by surprise, and we made this happen. So that was well done. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. Nan Weil, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, everyone. Hold on, I need to unmute.
You're unmuted. We can hear you.
Oh, how excellent. Good for me. I just want to confirm that you all got the letter that I sent commending Tom Blauvit's qualifications for this role. Do I need to read it, or are you all?
No, we're all set, and we've already put Tom Blauvelt as a recommendation to the governor.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome, Nan. Okay,
Oh, can
so
I do it?
do what?
Move to adjourn.
Yeah, that's
I don't
fine.
get to move to adjourn. One of you guys have to do that.
No, you can do that. You're frozen now, see? It was all too much power. So we are adjourning. We have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Ed, you're muted, but I can read second. Okay, roll call vote. Eileen. You're muted, Eileen.
Aye.
John, if we can ever get you unmuted, unfrozen. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and John.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Take care,
you.
guys.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, Mark, if you'll promote the finance committee while I do the specifics here. So this is a call to order for the finance committee and select board special meeting. Let me help here. Do you see the 4th member there?
Yeah, she's coming in.
Okay, good.
Melina, you just need to accept there you go.
Yeah, you're good. Okay, so first let's take a roll call vote of the select board. I think we're all still here, but Eric,
Here.
Ed,
Here.
and I'm here, Steve Bannon. So Phil, do you want to do a roll call vote of your board, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, somehow okay. Okay, so roll call vote of the finance committee. Ann,
I'm here.
Milena,
I'm here.
Madonna,
I'm here.
and Philip Orenstein, I'm here.
Do I have a motion? We have one candidate. Ed, do you want to make the motion?
Sure. Motion to appoint Richard Geiler, and I apologize if I pronounced that wrong, to the finance committee for to fill the vacancy.
I'll second that.
I have a second by Eric, a motion by Ed. Any discussion? No discussion, so I'll start with the select board roll call vote. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. Phil, you want to do a roll call vote of your board?
Yes, roll call vote. Anne,
Aye.
Milena,
Aye.
Madonna,
I don't know him, but that, aye.
and I'm I as well.
That's what I was waiting for. So Richard is appointed, or Rich is appointed to the open seat on the Finance Committee. Next, we have the review and vote on year-end budget transfers. Mark?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and promote Chief Berger for the first one.
Okay.
Sue.
Okay, just like a real quick overview or,
Yes, please.
okay. So I'm requesting 2 transfers out of salaries into repair and maintenance and another one into equipment. So I actually need to modify both of them. So the transfer request, which on your sheet will show $15,000 from the firefighters line item to repair maintenance, should be reduced to 12,000. I just got the quote and invoice back from a bunch of parts that we ordered for rebuilding a pump that came back substantially under what I estimated. So I would like that to be reduced to 12,000. And then the request from overtime to firefighting supplies reduced to 6,000. So similar to when I went to the Finance Committee a couple of months ago for a transfer from the reserve fund. This has been an extremely challenging year with maintenance, both due to having to make some substantial repairs, and then the cost of everything has skyrocketed, which has made it even more difficult. So this would enable us to close out the year, make the final repairs that are needed to equipment, and mostly start next year with a blank slate. And then the transfer from overtime to firefighting supplies, that pretty much just makes up, we transferred out of firefighting supplies into travel and training to cover the training for a whole bunch of classes earlier this year, which mostly was a good thing. I had more people take the EMT class than I estimated would, and also we started using the Connecticut Fire Academy to train our probationary firefighters. There is a cost associated with that, but it has been a much more accessible option to us than the Massachusetts Fire Academy. So this is more or less making up the money that was transferred out of there earlier, back prior to being able to transfer out of salaries into expenses. So that's the quick overview there. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Any questions of the chief?
Yes, a quick question is what leads you, I certainly understand the need for the money, but what leads you to have the extra funds in those staffing categories, the overtime and the salary?
So the quickest, easiest answer for that is within our line items, everything is an estimate every year, and very challenging to come by in many ways. And over the past, it definitely started picking up now, but certainly the first half of this fiscal year was very slow with incidents for us, which directly correlates to the number of hours that we are paying people for. So the firefighters line item is what pays our call firefighters, and the overtime is what pays our full-time firefighters when they get called back in.
Okay, well, that seems like a good thing and easy
Yes.
to understand. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve. Is it enough to say both transfers as suggested by the chief, as amended by the chief?
Yeah, I think that's clear enough.
I'll second that.
So second by Phil, motion by Ed. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll do a roll call, the select board first, and then Phil, you can do the finance committee. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. Go ahead.
Roll call vote on the finance committee. Anne,
Aye.
Milena,
Aye.
Madonna,
Aye.
and I'm I as well.
So that passes unanimously of the both boards.
Thank you.
Next one is Jen.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah, go
promote
ahead.
Jen.
Yeah, please.
Stu, while Jen is getting promoted up to the, how do you want to handle the signing of these? I'm trying to remember.
So
If you're able to stop in, that would be great.
Okay.
They are in the folder in the select board's office.
Okay,
So if you can stop in and sign in, that'd be great. If not, if you can circulate it electronic, and I'll just staple them all together, I guess.
Now, how many signatures do you need?
Majority, please.
Okay, well, I'll come in tomorrow.
Thank you.
hello, Jen.
Hi.
You want to give a brief overview?
Yeah, mine's a little shorter than Charlie's. So when I was doing my budget for fiscal 22, I did not realize there was going to be a 75-cent increase in minimum wage for calendar 2022. So I was a little bit short in my election worker line and needed to transfer $603. And I plan to do that from the travel training line to the election worker line.
Thank you. Any questions of Jen?
Mechanically, maybe this is a question for Mark, do you really need the finance committee to approve this? Obviously, we will approve it, but it just seems like somewhat straightforward. You're being careful, but what's the procedure here?
The reason, well, Sue, do you want to cover this? I don't want to step on your toes.
Sorry about that. So Phil, it's required by Mass General Law that any transfers between salaries and non-salary line items or vice versa requires the approval of both select board and finance committee.
Okay, then we'll do it.
Or do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the transfer as requested.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion by Ed, a second by Eric. Do we have any other questions? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call first of the select board. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. Go ahead, Phil.
And a roll call vote of the finance committee. Anne,
aye.
Milena,
Aye.
Madonna,
Aye.
and I'm I as well.
So it passes unanimously, and I believe that is all the transfers. Any citizens speak on these items? Not seeing any. Do I have a motion to adjourn the joint meeting of the Finance Committee and Select Board?
So moved.
Second that.
So I have a motion by Ed, a second by Eric. Start with the Select Board. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. Go ahead, Phil.
And do we have a motion to approve this joint meeting from the finance committee?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the finance committee portion of the meeting.
And I will second that. Roll call vote. Anne,
Aye.
Milena,
Aye.
Madonna,
Aye.
and I'm I as well.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we will now call to order the Select Board regular meeting. Ed, did I lose you? Because if I did,
I'm still here.
okay, good. Because
I'm having camera issues. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, as long as I can hear you. So a roll call, I can't see him now. He's over.
We promoted him now.
What's that? Oh, there
He's
he is.
coming back in now. There he is.
There he is. Okay, so roll call vote of the Select Board. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and we're all still here. Motion to convene as sewer commissioners.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and it's unanimous. Mark, you want to start, and I'll promote the two people I'm supposed to.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. So in April of 2021, DPC made a presentation outlining the need for significant increases to fund future capital projects. And what I wanted to do tonight was just refresh everyone's memory. It's been a little over a year since we've had this conversation. And the two options that they offered us at that time for consideration were, one, a 53% increase with smaller increases years 2 through 6, or a 16% increase with even increases through year 6. So this board chose the second of those two options, so the 16% with even increases over the course of the next 6 years. And as a result, our sewer rate last year was set at $587 per EDU. So I just wanted to provide some history before Dave launches into his presentation. We're also looking for Justin, but the last thing I wanted to say.
Yeah, I couldn't find Justin. So.
Okay. The last thing I wanted to just say before we move on, and I can't stress this enough, I wanted to put our current sewer rate into context for everyone listening tonight. And that's that the state average for the current fiscal year is about $1,100 per year. So $587 is well below that average. So while we are looking at increases, it's mostly due to the fact that we held back increases for many, many years. But in order to move forward with the necessary projects that we have coming down the pike, it is necessary for us to make these increases now. So Dave, I'll stop there and let you take it from here.
Yeah, Mark, just give us 1 minute here. Justin's just trying to get on here. He's got the tech. I'm remote on vacation, so I'm the wingman tonight.
Okay, I see Justin just came on, so.
You should be good to go as a panelist is coming in right now.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
There he is.
All right, thank you. Let me share my screen here. Actually, it says the host just needs to enable screen sharing, if that's possible.
Sure. Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right, you're good to go.
All right. All right, so we'll just make this big here. All right, Dave, you want to, I guess, recap? What did I miss here? Do you want me to just jump right into it?
Yeah, no, Mark did a good job of kind of recapping where we were at last year. We've done this, if not every year, at least every other year for the past 6-7 years.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us a primer in terms of where GB is relative to the statewide average, significantly below. Mentioned that we've had a capital plan and it's probably drug out a little further than we all expect. So a lot of what we'll share this evening is similar to what you've heard in years past, specifically last year. So with that, I would just fire into it, Justin.
All right, perfect. So tonight we're going to cover, how the current sewer rate system is structured, now, kind of the planned capital projects that Dave mentioned, what's coming up in the next 5-6 year window for Great Barrington in terms of improvements to its wastewater infrastructure. We'll get into the sewer rate alternatives that we looked at as part of this update. We'll go over the recommendations that we have for the town to consider. And then we can, open it up for questions or discussion or however you want to handle that part of the forum there. So really the goals, as it is every year, is to take a look at, what are the needs of the wastewater system in Great Barrington. As Dave said, we have a bunch of projects in the pipeline. A couple of those, were deferred a year or two. So we're just getting into those now. You'll notice within town that the pump station upgrades project is moving forward. We're in the process of awarding that to a contractor right now. That was an SRF project. So the town's receiving a low interest loan, a 20-year note for that project. So that's moving forward, which is great. And then obviously we wanted to come up with recommendations to share with you, how are we going to fund these projects? Everything looks great on paper. We know things need to get fixed. How are you going to do it? I will say, just kind of offhand here, that looking at Great Barrington's financials, it's some of the best I looked at in putting together these rate models in terms of how well things are managed. This retained earnings balance right here of like $5.7 million, it's pretty impressive. That gives you multiple years cushion should anything happen unforeseen. And it also allows you to kind of withdraw here and there in select years to minimize the impact to the rates directly while also funding some of these capital projects. So we'll get into it, but we didn't want to, we'll call the retained earnings balance the town's piggy bank for wastewater. We didn't want to go in there and empty it, but we also don't want it to, sit there and grow too large and then put all of the burden onto the ratepayers. So you'll see as we go through this that it is a fine balance of how the town wants to manage these things moving forward. So those were the goals that, we had going into it, as it is every year. So just a quick refresher, how does an enterprise fund work? So wastewater in Great Barrington is an enterprise fund. So by that definition, it's self-sustaining. So the expenses need to equal the revenues every year. What are the expenses in a typical enterprise fund? You have the operation and maintenance budget, covers fuel, electricity, salaries, everything you need to operate and maintain the system. Debt service, which, again, comes into play with the capital projects and how much the town is paying every year in terms of, paying loans off or other debt. Recurring capital, which, some examples this year were, pickup trucks or engineering fees, things that tend to come up. Not every year, but maybe every other year, or they're more regular, I should say, than a capital project, which is the last bullet here. So capital projects would be like the pump station upgrades project that's ongoing now. It would cover, the treatment plant upgrades project, which, we'll mention later on, has been planned for many years here. So that's one half of the equation. As we see, annual expenses. The revenue side, so how does the town balance out that equation? It's through the collection of user fees, which we're focusing in on tonight, liens, tie-in fees, and then septage receiving money. That's essentially that side of the equation. So if in any given year this equation doesn't balance out, that's where that retained earnings comes into play. So if expenses are higher in a given year, you're going to have to take out of that piggy bank and make the equation zero out. In other years where you've spent less than you've brought in, well, that's great. You could put it into your retained earnings balance and see that increase, which has historically been the case. So that's just an overview of the enterprise fund, how it works. Right now, the town of Great Barrington, so I had this, was established in '93. So right now it's a fixed rate system, or a fixed fee system, I should say. So it's based on EDUs per customer. So you'll notice the numbers aren't the same. You have roughly 2,100 customers, and that equates to like 3,900 EDUs. Now EDUs are equivalent dwelling units, and that's supposed to represent a single family home. So you see the EDUs are higher. That could be due to multifamily homes, commercial, industry, et cetera. Those are billed at higher EDUs per customer. The costs per EDU currently, they went up last year by 16% based on the recommendations of a similar presentation given in April. Right now it's $293.50, and that's twice per year. So the annual cost per a single family home or one EDU is that $587. And again, like I said, that was up from $506 in prior years, and that was a 16% increase. And just again, another refresher, it might have already been said, but essentially last year's recommendation coming out of this analysis that for the next 5 years, Great Barrington should expect to raise rates 16% annually. We had one alternative that was, some very steep increase, which wouldn't be too palatable to most folks. So this was the recommendation that we settled on, which was, well, let's just do this annually. Let's keep it more, I guess, lesser and steady over the years. And then we had looked at, discounts for various things here. And we said, let's just put those to the side, defer that into future years if the town wants to look into it. So that's kind of the big refresher here, the current system, recommendations from last year. Now we're going to be moving into, well, I guess here's just a historical look, which again was probably already mentioned before I hopped on here. But historically, we have information back to 2012. This is Great Barrington's cost per EDU. Here it is in 22, which is 587, the most current rate. Before that, it was 506, pretty steady for a number of years. And then again, before that, 460, again, pretty steady over a number of years with no increases. This purple line up above is the estimated statewide sewer cost. So every 2 or 3 years, there's a firm that puts together a survey of all communities in Massachusetts. And we basically interpolated that out at 5% per year to, take that number and assume what it would be over various years. So, generally Great Barrington's about 50% of the statewide average. So again, back to my statement about the financials being in great shape with the retained earnings balances, it's even more impressive that Great Barrington has done that, while maintaining very low and advantageous rates for its customers. So just a testament to the folks operating the system and managing those budgets. Quite
And Justin, just real quick, anecdotally, over the last about 15 years, wastewater annual inflation for operation and maintenance has been between 7% and 8% per year. So that's factoring in wastewater labor, chemicals, power, etc. So it's been a little bit more than double overall national inflation, but you can see the difference in the shape of the two trend lines, and Great Barrington's had a more modest percent increase per year than the statewide trends, just anecdotally.
That's a good point. So I think that covers most of, where we are entering today. So what are a few of these capital projects that the town, plans on implementing and needs to consider funding through, whether it's increased sewer fees, drawdown of the retained earnings balance, So again, it's the other half of the equation. What are you going to spend money on and how are we going to fund it? So as I said, the pump stations upgrades project, that's going into construction probably in the next month or so. It's currently being awarded. So that's ongoing. The annual CMOM program and II mitigation, again, that's an annual program to not only inspect the collection system and TV, portions of it yearly, but also to then go ahead and fix portions of the system, annually. And again, the CMOM program is a requirement of DEP. It all stems from the 2017 state II requirements, where all communities were required to go and investigate their underground wastewater infrastructure and determine, if they had sources of II, which is inflow and infiltration, which is essentially clean water, that gets into the system and you end up treating it at the treatment plant at a cost. So you remove that unnecessary clean water from being treated. So again, that's an important piece that needs to get done annually. And then there's the phase 3 treatment plant project, which has been pushed back a couple of years from, I think, its original conception. But the benefit here is that, and Dave, you might have to chime in, but essentially this project originally included portions for phosphorus removal, which is very costly to do at treatment plants. It consists of a whole new tertiary process at the back end of the existing plant. That is no longer going to be the case. So what we've projected in terms of costs for that project have come down slightly. And they've also bumped a couple of years into the future. So you'll see the impact on that 16% per year that we recommended last year as we move forward here. But those are just some of the major changes in kind of the capital plan from the last time we were in front of you.
Interestingly, Great Barrington dodged a bullet, unlike Lennox and Pittsfield, who were both forced to treat or remove phosphorus to ultra low levels. We anticipated the Great Barrington likely would, but when they received their permit, you didn't. So that was a bit of a silver lining here in the capital plan. And in this case, unlike a lot of our other clients, that was worth the wait.
Yep. So those are the projects coming up here. So what did we actually look at coming into tonight? So again, we look at the current year and then the next 5, so 6 years total. Kind of our rule of thumb and what we would tell every community is to make sure that that retained earnings balance does not go below essentially 1 year of your O&M budget. So 1 year of budget that it takes you to operate and maintain your system, you should never go below that number. It's essentially a safe, rainy day fund. That's typically what we shoot for. And a lot of communities have a tough time getting there. Whereas Great Barrington has multiple years worth, in their current retained earnings balance. So heading into the alternatives, the first one we wanted to look at was, okay, what if we don't touch retained earnings? So expenses are going to go up because of the capital projects we've mentioned, but we're not going to contribute or withdraw from the piggy bank, the retained earnings. So looking at that, all things considered, and we'll have graphs of future years, but the 2023 rate would be $753 from $587 that it is now, which is roughly a 28% increase. So again, not touching retained earnings, all the additional capital money to be spent goes on the user fees. That results in 28%. Alternative 2, this represents the retained earnings not dropping below the FY28 O&M budget. So that 1 year of annual O&M budget in this year that we looked at, which would be the highest. So in that situation, it's a more, minor increase of 5%, which would be, $617 from the 5.7. And then we had a third alternative, much like we did last year, just to say, okay, this one's pretty steep, 28%. This one is kind of low, and you see that in future years that you have to kind of play catch up. Let's just look at if we average out the increases at a steady pace over the next, again, years 1 through 6, much like we had as an alternative last year. And what we came up with under this scenario for 23 is $657, which is roughly a 12% increase. So essentially alternative 3 is what was selected last year by the town, and what we recommended, I should say. And that would have been this year a 16% increase. So because of the prior, things that we've discussed, it's actually looking like the town's caught up a little bit. Maybe we can back off a little bit to this 12% number and keep that steady versus that 16% annual trend line that we presented last year. So I hope that's taken as good news. Any increase is tough, but so again, there's a lot of information on this screen. We can share the slide deck, we could share everything, but essentially, let me see if I could get a pointer going here. Spotlight. So essentially this FY22 is our existing condition where you went up 16% from the 506 and 21. These percentages are what I had just talked about, 28% in alternative 1 where you don't touch retained earnings, the 5% where you're keeping 1 year of retained earnings, so you're using a ton of it, and the impact, as you would suspect, is lesser on the user fees. And then kind of the middle ground of like steady 12% increases annually in alternative 3, which is the green bar. So, I mean, that's the easy one to look at. You can just see the 12% step and how this green bar for alternative 3, gets you up. $1,159. And then, the other ones you can tell, like alternative 1, where we're not touching retained earnings, you have to have that steep increase. You could stay for a couple of years pretty steady. And then there's a 40% increase. And I should also mention in an alternative 2, there's a 40% increase just to make up for the capital that hits in that year. Because obviously these projects are staggered, but there's going to be some years where multiple projects overlap so that the expenses side of the equation are higher in that given year. So I think
Really what we did there, just to echo Justin's presentation, is the yellow bars were kind of the minimum level of rate changes over time. The blue were the kind of high end, so the floor and the ceiling respectively. And then the green, as Justin represented, we tried to, in conjunction with staff's input in previous years, just try to figure out what would be an even step, so it was more absorbable for the customers.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons it came out at 12% instead of 16 last year, two things. One is you have had some organic growth in your customer base. You've picked up, I think, just under 200 EDUs in the last 3 years, which is really good.
Mhm.
And then also, as I mentioned, the capital plan for the phase 3 treatment plant is ultimately a lower dollar value than we anticipated a few years ago, and that helps too. So the combination of those two things soften things out. Again, as Justin said, not that any increase is easy to handle, publicly, but it usually doesn't go in this direction. It usually goes in the other direction.
And again, I should just say for reference, this projected annual statewide cost, even under these scenarios, where Great Barrington, I should say, would still be pretty far below that. I mean, just looking at these numbers roughly, still a few $100s below the average, even after all this capital is hit in year 2028. So again, we can come back to this. I know it's a lot of data to digest the first time seeing it, but we can touch on it if folks have more questions. Let me just move ahead here. So kind of as you can tell, the alternative 3, which is that fixed increase of 12% over future years, that is ultimately our recommendation coming out of this analysis and taking everything into consideration. So yeah, just to note again, last year's model projection indicated that we'd be talking about a 16% increase at this point in time. And again, going into fiscal year 23, the town would still be at about 57% of the statewide average, which is a good metric. We use that everywhere. And then really, to help lessen the expenses side of the equation, well, what can you do? Well, for these capital projects, we should continue to find sources like SRF and USDA to apply for these grant and opportunities, as that's only going to bring down the expenses side of the equation, which in turn, helps the impacts to the rates, et cetera. So again, that's always a recommendation there, is to try to find the money. And we know a lot of it is coming through all the infrastructure bills, et cetera. Even the folks, at those organizations don't quite understand, how it's going to trickle out, but we're keeping our ears to the ground, and, the town should chase any opportunity they get for grants and low interest loans. And I think that's all we had prepared, knowing that there'd probably be some level of, question discussions. So Mark, I guess I'll turn it back over to you.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, so can we just take the screen? Well, you may need that up. Is there any questions from the board?
It's very thorough. Thank you.
I don't see any questions.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it was very thorough. Do I have a motion to go with alternative 3?
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the recommendation to go with alternative number 3 for the rate increase.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. You can take the screen share down now. Do I have any discussion? I'm just not sure who all is here. Okay, so now I know. Roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. It was a very good presentation, very clear, and piggybacked on last year, so it was easy to follow. And that's not always the case. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
So Mark, do you want to then go ahead with sewer abatements for the period of July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021?
Sure. So while you're still convened as sewer commissioners, We have included in your packet for this evening a list of Public Works approved abatements, and we're looking for the board to approve those. The backside of the same sheet has 3 sewer abatements that were not approved with the policy and reason also stated.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the abatements that are recommended by the DPW?
I make a motion to approve the abatements recommended by the DPW.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I, it's unanimous. Okay, hold on a second here, we'll shuffle some paper. So make a motion to adjourn as sewer commissioners and to go into our regular select board meeting completely.
I make a motion to adjourn as sewer commissioners and to open the regular select board meeting.
Second.
Roll call vote, Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. First thing is the approval of minutes for May 11th, 2022.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of May 11th, 2022.
Do I have a second? I have a second by Ed, motion by Lee. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I, it's unanimous. Select board's announcements or statements. Eric,
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Ed,
Nothing.
Lee,
Nothing.
and I have nothing. Town managers report.
Okay, thanks, Steve. First on my list for this evening is Houstonic Waterworks. I just wanted to let everyone know that we did finally receive a response from your letter dated May 3rd requesting assistance relief or assistance and relief for Houstonic Waterworks customers. That response was received here in my office on June 2nd and has been posted to the Houstonic Waterworks tab on the select board page of our website. So anyone that would like a copy of that, it's posted right there for you. Also, one other Houstonic Waterworks update for this evening, they will be hosting an informational meeting this coming Thursday, June 16th at 6:30 p.m. We created a link for everyone so they can join. It's posted on our website, front and center homepage. It's also being shared widely on our Facebook page and our Instagram page. Next on my list is a shared human resources director position, and I'm excited to share this evening that we did hire a shared HR director. And this, when I say shared, I mean shared with our partner and neighboring towns of Sheffield, West Stockbridge, New Marlborough, and Monterey. This individual will begin working for the 5 towns in July once we complete the pre-employment process, and we'll share more details in a press release very shortly.
Mark, you're breaking up a little bit. Can you, I don't know what you can do about it, but you are breaking up a little bit. You're a little underwater.
Okay. I'll try to speak a little more loudly and clearly. Priority planning is the next item on my list here, and I just wanted to ask the board members to consider a few dates for our priority planning. This is something that we do twice a year. It's part of our select board policies. And I just wanted to throw a couple dates out there. Are you able to hear me any better now?
It's better. It's not perfect, but it's better.
So I just wanted to get a conversation started with the board on selecting a date for priority planning. So the first dates I wanted to offer the board would be July 14th, it's a Thursday. The 20th is a Wednesday. The 26th is a Tuesday. The 27th is a Wednesday. Or a couple dates in August, the 1st or 2nd, which is a Monday and a Tuesday.
Does the board have any preference? I know there are a lot of dates thrown out there, but do you want to do it in the middle of July? You want to go into August?
The 14th works if you want to take them in order.
July 14th? How's that work for everyone else?
The 14th does not work for me.
Okay.
Right? What was the next one?
What was the next one, Mark?
Wednesday, the 20th.
20th.
Yeah.
Eric?
I believe the 20th should work for me, yes.
I think we have a date. And we'll do it at 6 o'clock. And we'll check with Garfield. He's not here tonight. I'm not sure where he is, but.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, next on my list is brief update on the Division Street Bridge project. Everything is moving along according to our schedule, so good news there. We're awaiting our final Chapter 85 review from Mass DOT at the moment, and I just wanted to say that our conceptual design was approved very early on in this project, so we're not expecting any problems to surface. We just need that final approval from them.
Mark, can you just remind everyone when we hope to have start of construction and finish?
Yes, we're looking to be at substantial completion later this summer.
Okay.
Mark, I had one question from Taft Farms about the weight restrictions. Are there any particular weight restrictions for the temporary span or anything that's different from the permanent structure?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that tonight, but I'll make a note here and report back.
Okay, thank you.
At the next meeting. So our demolition plan was or is being reviewed right now from or by our engineering team, and you can expect demolition to begin as early as next week. So that's super exciting. Our erosion control measures are already in place, and they've been approved by the Conservation Commission. And all of the utilities that needed to be either removed or relocated have been removed and relocated. So it's just about go time. You're going to start to see a lot of action over there within another week. And the last, actually, that's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So two things, just housekeeping for the minutes. Lee joined the meeting at 5:56. So as part of a roll call. And then we have 5 panelists, and at the height attendees was 17. Right now we have 15, but. So moving ahead with licenses and permits. Terry Chamberlain requests permission to use town roads for the 13th annual Main Street Car Show between the hours of 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. on August 4th, 2022, with a rain date of August 11th, 2022. Includes Main Street from Cottage Street to Bridge Street, including Castle Street and Railroad Street. Terry, do you have anything you want to add?
The only thing I want to say is you guys got all the information in your packet, and it's the same exact layout and plan as we've done all along, and it's been successful, so we couldn't see messing with success.
Makes sense. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the request to use town roads for the 13th annual Main Street Car Show between the hours of 4 and 9 p.m. on August 4th, 2022, with a rain date of August 11th, 2022, and includes Main Street from Cottage Street to Bridge Street, including Castle Street and Railroad Street.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Good luck, Terry.
Okay, thank you.
Dave Isby, request for 8 temporary weekday entertainment licenses for WSBS Sounds of Summer. Not sure Dave's on, but do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the request from Dave Isby for 8 temporary weekday entertainment licenses for WSBS Sounds of Summer events to be held at the Great Barrington VFW between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. on July 5th, 2022, July 12th, 2022, July 19th, 2022, July 26th, 2022, August 2nd, 2022, August 9th, 2022, August 16th, 2022, and August 23rd, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. And Dave, wherever you are, good luck. Karen Beckwith for Great Barrington Fish and Game Annual Father's Day Lobster Shoots at 338 Long Pond Road. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve Karen Beckwith for the Great Barrington Fish and Game for their annual Father's Day lobster shoots at 338 Long Pond Road on June 19th, 2022, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? I believe Karen's on the line. Usually we just do this without too much discussion. They've done it so many years in a row. Roll call vote. Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Good luck, Karen. Joanna and Richard Rothbard of American Art Marketing requesting 2 temporary weekday entertainment licenses and 1 temporary Sunday entertainment license for their annual Berkshire Arts Festival. Is there anyone on the line, Mark? Yeah, there it is. Joanna, do you want to just say anything about the event?
Well,
Go ahead,
we're
Richard.
back. It's our 21st year. We're pretty excited, looking forward. We had a great turnout last year, one of our best. So we really are just doing the same music. I think there's a little error. We're really looking for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The music is typically keyboard, small local bands, and all takes place pretty much underneath a tent where we have our dining tent, center of the show, and basically that's it. Nothing else to add except come on and make art with us.
Terrific. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve 2 temporary weekday entertainment and 1 temporary Sunday entertainment license for the annual Berkshire's Arts Festival at Ski Butternut, 380 State Road on July 1st, July 2nd, and July 3rd, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. to Joanna and Richard Rothbard of American Art Marketing.
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions? Roll call vote. Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Next is Select Board, and the tree warden couldn't be here tonight, so it's be the town manager representing the tree warden to consider removing 2 public shade trees at the historic trolley shelter of Belcher Square, the intersection of Stockbridge Road and State Road in the vicinity of 10 Stockbridge Road. The trees scheduled for removal are a 12-inch diameter sugar maple and a moraine locust tree. Do you have a motion to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Roll call vote. Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And aye. Mark, do you want to give us an explanation?
Yes, I will. Unfortunately, Michael Peretti, our tree warden, had a conflict this evening and was not able to attend. Are you able to hear me any better now?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay, it must have been my earbuds. I'm sorry about that. I'll go back to the way I was listening into these meetings. So in preparation for the historic trolley shelter restoration project that's coming soon, 2 trees need to be removed. One is a maple that our tree warden describes as quote unquote in decline, and one is a locust that is engulfing the structure and will eventually split and both endanger the trolley shelter and the public. So we are asking for the board's approval to remove both of those trees.
Thank you. Do I have anyone on the line who wants to speak in favor or opposition? Just raise your hand. Seeing no one, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Roll call. Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Select Board and Town Manager discussion.
I guess I realized when they first made this, talked to us about this project, it was pruning the trees and there was no talk about actually taking trees down. So that's, concern to me. I guess I would feel better hearing it from the tree warden, but I'm assuming that this is the recommendation.
There are pictures in our packet,
Yeah, no, I saw the pictures.
Yeah. and that is his recommendation.
Okay.
Anyone
will-
else? Yeah, go ahead.
Are they going to be replaced eventually, or just kind of, that'll be it?
There's currently no plan to replant, but if you'd like to make that a condition of your approval tonight, that's absolutely fine. I think that what we would want to do though is wait until the restoration project is completed and then select the proper plantings at that time, so that they're not damaged during construction.
Mhm. So I guess, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Eric.
So it's just a restoration that the structure we see there is not getting any bigger, nothing like that. They're just restoring the current building. Yep, okay, thank you.
And that was approved in last year's town meeting.
Yeah.
So that money is available. So we'll hopefully that project will start not too long. So do I have a motion, Lee?
Well, I'd like to make a motion, but I'd like to request that they try in earnest to replace the trees when appropriate.
No, you don't, we can ask them to do that. So you can make,
Okay.
go to your motion.
So I'd like to make a motion to go ahead with the removal of the trees with the condition that they are replaced.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, do you want to add at the completion of the project?
Upon completion of the project. Thank you.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next is the FY new business FY 23 reappointments as per the attached list. If I'm a little behind on my paperwork here, let me get to the attached list. Okay, so do I have a motion?
Should I read all these or?
Well, I don't really think you have to read them. I think you can just say as per the what's in our packet.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the reappointments as per what's included in our packet.
And just to be clear, these are the select board reappointments, also here our town manager, but those are not ours, so.
Second.
So motion to, for the reappointments for the select board, and I have a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. A vote to appoint a member to the Regional Transit Authorities Board, the RTA, for the Berkshire Regional Transit Authority for FY 23. It's a one-year appointment. Do I have a motion?
May I just jump in before you?
Of
move
course.
on this? Our Regional Transportation Advisory Board Chair, Tate Coleman, has recommended John Morrell be appointed to represent the town on the BRTA board. So I don't see John in the audience tonight, but he's also a member of the town's Sustainability and Livability Committee, so some of you may know him.
And he is aware that we're considering doing this to him?
He is aware and interested, yes.
Great, thank you.
Then do I have a motion?
I make a motion to vote John Morrell to the BRTA board.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. Next is the transfer station disposal fees. So in our packet, Mark, do you want to go over this?
Sure.
More appropriate than me.
So in your packet for this evening, we included a current copy of our recycling center fee list. And I anticipate this being a two-part conversation. The one part this evening and then a continued conversation on the 27th, and I'll just explain a little more. We received a notice from our trash hauler last week that effective immediately, certain items such as mattresses, box springs, sofas, love seats, furniture of that nature would be significantly increasing in disposal costs. And since our charter requires a public hearing to increase this fee schedule, what I want to recommend this evening to the board is that you impose an immediate moratorium on disposal of these items until July 1st. And that doesn't mean that people are unable to dispose of them. They can dispose of them themselves. They can drive them to the Lenox or Lennoxdale location. And then our thought is that if we hold a public hearing on June 27th, of course, we need enough time to advertise that public hearing, which is why we're suggesting a moratorium. In the meantime, on the 27th, we'll come back to you with a revised fee schedule and an attached executive summary explaining the justification for those increases. And this is the reason for the moratorium is because as you are well aware, our public works budget is extremely, sorry, my cell phone's ringing, is extremely low at the moment. And we've requested 2 reserve fund transfers, and we just cannot subsidize disposal of these items from now until the new fiscal year starts. So with your permission, we would like to, again, impose the moratorium and then revisit this on the 27th.
Do I have a motion to start with?
I make a motion to move that we impose an immediate moratorium on these items until July 1st.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Lee, would you be so good to make the Pride Month proclamation?
Yes. Proclamation celebrating LGBTQI+ Pride Month, Town of Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Whereas the Town of Great Barrington is a friendly and welcoming community that celebrates and promotes diversity and inclusion. And whereas the Town of Great Barrington recognizes the importance of equality and freedom for all our residents and the progress we have made as a nation in the fight for justice, inclusion, and equity. And whereas the Town of Great Barrington recognizes that our nation was founded upon the principles that all people are created equal and that everyone has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas the Town of Great Barrington is dedicated to fostering acceptance of all its residents and preventing discrimination and mistreatment based on sexual orientation or gender identity. And we reaffirm our commitment to do more to support LGBTQI rights in our town. And whereas the Town of Great Barrington is strengthened by and thrives upon the rich diversity of ethnic, cultural, racial, gender, and sexual identities of its residents, all of which make up our vibrant character. And whereas the Town of Great Barrington recognizes the importance and contributions and members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex community. And whereas the Town of Great Barrington acknowledges that member of the LGBTQI+ community, especially people of color and trans people, continue to face discrimination and cruel, persistent efforts to undermine their basic human rights. And it is specifically difficult for LGBTQI+ youth, 45% of whom seriously considered attempting suicide in the last year. Now, therefore, we, the Select Board, and on behalf of the Town of Great Barrington, hereby proclaim and recognize the month of June as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, and Intersex Pride Month. And we urge all residents to actively promote the principles of equality and liberty. And we remind the LGBTQI+ community that they are loved and cherished and seen for who they are, deserving of dignity, respect, and support throughout our town. A witness thereof hereto set on this day of June 13th, 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Eric?
Aye.
Ed,
Yes.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. Thank you very much. Okay, next is, where am I? Well, it's not on this agenda, but I know we have one more item, which is the bond anticipation notes.
I just promoted Alicia.
Okay. Alicia, you want to give an overview?
Yeah, so absolutely.
Can-
So this is a bond, yes.
I'm sorry, can I just stop you for 1 minute? I just want to see if this is Garfield calling in. So he
Okay.
can join the conversation.
Sure.
Garfield, is that you calling in?
Hello?
Garfield?
Hello? It's Garfield.
Okay, you're on Garfield. Okay, Alicia, go ahead.
Yes. So yes, we went out to bid on June 7th for this bond anticipation note for various projects that we have going on in town, and we will, it's a short-term note, and we will be going out to bid for a permanent bond. But in the meantime, I ask that you approve this note in the amount of $3,904,750. I do have a list of the various projects if you want me to read them.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea, so
Yeah,
people understand.
no problem. So this will cover stormwater systems, building improvements, Division Street bridge repairs, Christian Hill culvert, Town Hall elevator repair and rebuild, Town Hall improvements, engineering, street improvements, the purchase of a backhoe, a truck lift, a sidewalk plow, police station generator, sewer systems maintenance plan, and a sewer manhole rehabilitation.
Thank you. And these are all things that have been approved by the voters at town meeting.
Yes, they were approved at, hold on, I have it right here. So they were approved at town meetings ranging from fiscal year 2011 through fiscal year 21.
We're a little behind on 2011, but okay.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
Just to clarify, should I read this whole vote of the select board?
So when she sent me the email, she did ask that the whole thing be read. So the person from our council is, I think she, the assistant's new, but she did ask that the whole thing be read. So
Yeah, we've always done that, so.
yeah.
Okay. Vote of the select board. I, the clerk of the select board of the town of Great Barrington, Massachusetts, certify that at a meeting of the board held June 13th, 2022, of which meeting all members of the board were duly notified and at which a quorum was present, the following votes were unanimously passed, all of which appear upon the official record of the board in my custody. Voted to approve the sale of $3,904,750.205% general obligation bond anticipation notes of the town dated June 17th, 2022, and payable June 16th, 2023, to Newburyport 5 cents Savings Bank at par and accrued interest, if any. Further voted that in connection with the marketing and sale of the notes, the preparation and distribution of the notice of sale and preliminary official statement dated May 27th, 2022, and then a final official statement dated June 7th, 2022, each in such form as may be approved by the town treasurer, be and hereby are ratified, confirmed, approved, and adopted. Further voted that the town treasurer and the select board be and hereby are authorized to execute and deliver a significant events disclosure undertaking in compliance with SEC Rule 15C12-12 or 15C2-12 in such form as may be approved by bond counsel to the town, which undertaking shall be incorporated by reference in the notes for the benefit of the holders of the notes from time to time. Further voted that we authorize and direct the town treasurer to establish post-insurance federal tax compliant procedures and continuing disclosure procedures in such forms as the town treasurer and bond counsel deem sufficient, or if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update said procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax exempt status of the notes and to comply with relevant security laws. Further voted that any certificates or documents relating to the notes may be executed in several counterparts, each of which shall be regarded as an original and all of which shall constitute one and the same document. Delivery of an executed counterpart of a signature page to a document by electronic mail in a PDF file or by other electronic transmission shall be as effective as delivery of a manually executed counterpart signature page to such document, and electronic signatures on any of the documents shall be deemed original signatures for the purpose of the documents and all matters relating thereto having the same legal effect as original signatures. Further voted that each member of the select board, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions and execute, deliver such certificates, receipts, or other documents as may be determined by them or any of them to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing votes. I further certify that all votes were taken at a meeting open to the public and that no vote was taken by secret ballot, that a notice stating the place, date, time, and agenda for the meeting, which agenda included the adoption of the above votes, was filed with the town clerk, and a copy thereof posted in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours in or on the municipal building that the office of the town clerk is located, or, if applicable, in accordance with an alternative method of notice prescribed or approved by the Attorney General as set forth in 940 CMR 29.032B, at least 48 hours, not including Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, prior to the time of the meeting, and remain so posted at the time of the meeting, that no deliberations or decision in connection with the sale of the notes were taken in executive session, all in accordance with General Law C-30A 18-25 as amended, dated June 30th, 2022, Clerk of the Select Board.
Second.
Thank you. Phil, you have your hand up briefly. I assume this is a finance committee question.
Sorry, quickly, is this bond a renewal of the $4 million bond anticipation note that matured on May 13th, or is it a new borrowing?
No, this will be a new borrow.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have a motion and I have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Garfield? Are you there, Garfield? Let's go back to him. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Garfield, are you there? Now you're muted. There you go, to speak, hopefully. Okay, I have 4 votes, so I'm going to move ahead. So it's 4 in favor. Thank you, Alicia.
Yes, no problem. Thank you.
Okay. We have citizen speak time. No one, so we have select board time. Eric?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that we appointed today, to the Berkshire, to the Housing Authority, our new Finance Committee guy, and all these other appointments that we renewed today. Thanks everybody for donating their time and effort to the town. It's appreciated. Thank you.
Garfield, are you unmuted? Ed?
Nothing.
Lee?
I was late. I apologize. I was still working, but I just wanted to thank the town staff for a wonderfully run town meeting, and thanks for all the hard work.
I have nothing. Media time? Seeing no hands, we are going to convene into executive session and not return to open session. And we have two different numbers, two different reasons. So one will be under MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for the purpose to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. The other is under MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for purpose number 7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or specific law or federal grant and aid requirements. And this will be to approve minutes of executive session. So do I have motion number 1, please?
I move that the board meet in executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A for the following purpose: contract negotiations with town manager Mark Prehensky.
Second.
Then I have a second. A roll call vote. Garfield, are you unmuted yet? Garfield? Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous. We'll get Garfield up here, hopefully. Next motion, please.
I move that the board meet in executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21, to approve executive session minutes from the following meetings: executive session of April 27th, 2022, executive session of May 18th, 2022.
Second.
Roll call vote. Garfield? Still not there. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Hello?
There you go. You're there now. Lee?
Aye.
And aye. We will not return to public session. Thank you very much, everyone.